Well, it's hard to put it down to one word only, but if I was inclined to, it would be uplifting. So it was an amazing experience with lots of highs and lots of lows, and reaching the North Pole was probably a very peaceful experience, but also a very happy experience. I think uplifting would be the right word.
An extremely challenging environment, of course. I mean, physically, how did you cope?
I think I knew it would be very tough, but it was tough in a different way than I could possibly imagine and throughout all the months of my training. And I think the cold made it very difficult to perform, and at the end of each day my arms and my legs and everything was generally fine, but it was just a question of being able to perform at your optimal level in the cold and manage the cold at the same time and avoid frostbite. So I think it was a very eye-opening experience, but at the same time I learned that my own limits, my physical limits in particular, were not nearly as low a threshold as I possibly thought.
And do you think you're a role model, not just for women, but for Middle Eastern women as well?
If I were, it would be a great honor, but I mean, I think the message is pretty simple, and it's about pursuing your dreams and growing into the character that one you're destined to be as a result of those experiences that both good and bad that you get by pursuing your dreams. And if in any way that is being a role model for Arab women and knowing that you shouldn't assume your dreams are impossible or unattainable, and you should push forward and break through barriers that you think that are too strong to overcome, then yes.
I know you took a little bit of the desert with you to scatter around the North Pole. Was that something that you wanted to do? Was that symbolic?
Absolutely. I think it was a couple of things. Firstly, that I had chosen a challenge, an environment which was diametrically opposite to anything I had experienced in the past, and that was intentional. And the reason for that was to really take myself out of my comfort zone, out of anything I had experienced in the past, and to see how I would perform, how I would cope, whether my morale would stay up, whether I could continue to laugh through the hard times, and really test those limits of mental resilience. And so that's why I picked the North Pole, because it was the opposite of the sands that I grew up with. At the same time, it was also symbolic of the completion of a journey, and for me, it really was the journey that I was after, not the destination. And the journey was from my hometown, from the girl that I was as a teenager growing up in the Middle East, to the person I've become today. And so pouring the sand was almost a symbolic gesture of bringing a part of my country with me.